Hello, welcome back to the Little Blank Chronicles. I'm Caitlin, and today I'm going to tell you some good news. My 60-year-old husband, who has been down and out for about over a month now, has finally got pretty much a clean bill of health. He still has to be on antibiotics for the next two and a half weeks, but he can resume his normal duties, and he can actually do things now. So, yay, we're finally out of that. Just a few more weeks, and then everything will be back to 100% normal. I would like to tell you a little bit about how he got married. When he proposed to me, it was absolutely hysterical. Okay, he had been hinting around for weeks, oh, the only thing wrong with you is your last name, and then he'd go running off into the other room, and then I'd yell, well, you can change that! Christmas time's coming, and I expect that's probably when it's going to happen. So Christmas Eve, it's just the two of us, we're home, and this box he grabs off the tree, he hands it to me, I open it, and it's this beautiful, obvious engagement ring. And I was like, oh wow, this is really pretty. And that's all I get. I'm like, isn't that the time, guys, where you kind of say something, or ask a question? No, nothing. And he's like, I think it will fit you. And I was like, well, what size you get? And he's like, 5 or 6. And I was like, oh yeah, that should fit me then. Nothing. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm internally dying laughing because I can see he is sweating bullets and he doesn't know what to do. So I kind of set the ring on the coffee table. He's like, oh, you're not going to try it on? I was like, well, I don't know what hand to put it on. Still, I think at that point he got up and went into the kitchen to get a drink of water or something. And I'm just sitting here okay, seriously, it was priceless. So finally, 4 hours later, after us going back and forth and me trying to hint and get him to say something or ask me to marry him, finally, we're in bed. I bring the ring box in with me. I put it on my nightstand, and we're laying there. And he's like, why haven't you worn your ring all night? I'm like, well, I didn't know what finger to put it on. I thought you might want to ask me something. I mean, I literally had to pry it out of him. So I grab it and I'm kind of holding it, and he's like, well, yeah. Jeez and crow, I'm telling you. Finally, we get there. He proceeds to tell me that he has a couple more gifts for me. And I'm thinking, oh, this ought to be good. Okay. Now, I've told you in previous episodes, and I've showed you, he is a shopaholic. It's really bad. He's bought 3 or 4 of the same thing. Okay. Well, this was no exception. The next day, in front of the family, I proceed to open up 2 more rings. Engagement rings. He tells me, because I had sent him a few pictures of some different things that I liked. And instead of just picking the one that he liked, he immediately ordered the first one I sent him. And then I sent him another one, so he panicked and then ordered that one. And then I sent him another one. I sent him 3 or 4. He purchased the first 3 I sent him. So I had 3 engagement rings. My wonderful dad and brother completely trashed our car. My husband and I go to leave the hall that night, and we get in our car. We notice there's some powdery stuff. It smelled like baby powder. And I'm like, oh, haha, they probably sprinkled it on our seats and did stupid stuff, We saw that there was ribbons everywhere. And we drive all the way home. It's dark, so we couldn't see. And we hear this rattling noise, but, we didn't think anything of it. We were talking about the day. We pull into our driveway, and we get out, and we're unloading some stuff. My brother had come over in his truck and helped us unload some stuff into our garage. And he's like, did you like the car ride home? And I'm like, oh yeah, the baby powder. Ha ha, hilarious. And he's like, no. Wasn't it kind of loud? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I heard some clank, but I just assumed it was all the ribbons and stuff tied to the sides. I was like, yeah, it wasn't anything bad. And he's like, oh my God, you guys are such idiots. And he gets his light underneath our car. He had tied a whole bunch of cans to our car. So I think it was around midnight. The entire time through downtown, we sounded like a freight train. and we didn't even know it. My husband goes out to the car because he's thinking I'm going to vacuum up the baby powder. No, they didn't just powder the seats. Oh, no. They literally dumped a whole crap ton of baby powder down our AC vents. So when we turned the car on to pre-start it, it literally blew all through the car, all over the windshield. I mean, it was like Christmas time. It was awful. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we literally can't leave this to clean because the car's gonna be sitting in the baking sun for over a week. It's gonna cook on, we'll never get it out. And I'm thinking, oh geez, this is gonna be awful. So my husband and his best friend spent 2 hours cleaning the baby powder out of the car. They even had to take it down to the car wash so they could get the super powered things to actually try to get it out of the vents. Oh yeah, we had baby powder smell in that car for weeks and weeks. So shout out to my dad and brother for making the next morning really fun. Ha ha. So our honeymoon, we went on a cruise on our way to get to Miami where the boat was taken off. Okay, mind you, this is the beginning of our honeymoon. I had paid a little bit of extra so that way I would be guaranteed that we would be sitting next to each other. So we get on the plane and one of the stewardesses comes up to the back of the plane and she's like, so we need a volunteer. Well, my husband, being the little sweetheart that he is, obviously volunteers because nobody else was, and they just take him and they go somewhere. Didn't say anything to me, didn't say where they were going, didn't say why, nothing. Then the plane starts taking off, we get up in the air, I'm thinking, okay, well, after the plane gets up in the air, then he'll probably be able to come back and move back and be with me. I don't know where he is, maybe they just had him, up front for whatever reason. So then I start panicking, and I'm starting to sweat profusely, and I'm worried, I'm like, what if something happened? I didn't want to be sitting there alone. What happens when we land in Miami and he gets off the plane and I can't find him and I don't know where to go because I'm really bad with directions. I'm like, oh my God, I'm never going to find him. I'm going to be lost in this airport. My mind was going, it was so bad. It was so bad. And finally I asked one of the stewardesses, I was like, hey, my husband, they asked for a volunteer and they took him, he went somewhere up front. Where is he? Is he going to be able to move back with me? What's going on? She's like, oh, I'll go check. So a couple minutes later, finally, she comes back and she's like, yeah, he's up front, but he won't be able to come back here with you. And I was like, oh, okay. And before I could even finish, she's gone. And I'm like, so we finally get off the plane and I'm like, where the hell were you? I was literally panicking complete panic mode that entire plane ride. He's like, well, some seats in first class opened up. So the reason I didn't say anything is I didn't want everyone to jump on it. He said, so I got to sit in first class all by myself. So the first chance, seriously people, the first chance he gets to say this is gold. Okay, it has gone down in history. We get on a bus from our airport that's going to take us to the port where our boat is. And we get off the bus. My husband's over to the side. This guy is helping us get our bags out, and the guy obviously knows we're at a port, so we're going on a cruise. So he says to my husband, he goes, oh, you're going on a cruise, huh? And he's like, yeah. And he said, can't wait, it's gonna be nice. He goes, looks at me and goes, oh, that's so nice, you taking your daughter. And he looks at the guy and he goes, well, actually, this is my wife. And the guy's like, he had no idea what to say. You could tell he wanted to be anywhere but there. And he looks at my husband and he goes, damn, good for you, man. Good for you. In conclusion, our wedding was awesome. It went off perfectly. Our honeymoon was great too. We always see the funny side of everything. So just certain things happen. We just can't help but laugh. And I can't be the only one that has had hilarious things happen, multiple rings. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen in this household. So please tell me your proposal stories if they're good, because I have heard some hilarious ones and I like to embarrass my husband, if you couldn't tell. So I can't wait for him to hear this. Thank you for listening, and please share any stories you have because I love that kind of stuff. Thank you for watching our videos. If you have any comments or questions, write them below. We will answer just about anything. And please subscribe so you can see our next videos and anytime we post any little funny short clips as well. Thank you for watching and supporting us. Bye!